Hey, Food Explorers. Welcome to another episode of course, the Food Explorer podcast. My name is Colleen. I'm your host, as always, and we have some stuff to talk about today. I've kind of been zipping around through the news this last couple weeks and looking at, what's going on in the world of food and some of the things that are going to affect you as the consumer of the food. And we are recording this the day after the Super Bowl in the US of A. Funny enough, one of the commercials that I saw, I don't watch the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, don't hurt me. I don't watch it. I don't care. But I do watch the commercials. But I watch them on YouTube afterwards. They do like the compilation of the commercials. And there was one with Matthew McConaughey, and instead of it being the NFL National Football League, it's like National Food Day or something. I don't know, like whatever. But it is interesting because people have these giant Super Bowl parties. My brother doesn't have a big Super Bowl party, but he does like a whole spread for Super Bowl. And it's kind of this North American sort of tradition now that on Super Bowl day, it's make the snacks, make the treats, make the, fruit and veggie platter that looks like a football field. And it's kind of fun. Like, it's kind of a fun way to enjoy food with friends and family and celebrate the game if you like to watch the game, or if you just like to watch the disaster of the game, or I honestly, I probably should have looked this up earlier. I don't even know who won, but I think the Eagles won. I also did have to look up who was playing. But I want to talk to you about this because the commercials, as I was watching through them, the majority of the commercials that I saw that were sort of, I guess, rated as the funniest of the commercials, I'm sure there was more than what I saw. So I watched 12 commercials. The majority of them are food commercials. So these big giant companies, Dunkin' Donuts, Uber Eats. There was one with Seal, the singer, as a seal. It was weird. I laughed really hard though. I don't know where they come up with these things, but a lot of them, there was Tostitos, there was Little Caesars, Little Pizza Bites. So a lot of them were food focused. And so I find this really interesting to contrast these mega bazillion-dollar budgets for 30-second commercials on the Super Bowl for food. But let's contrast that to, and I don't know if you're seeing this trend, but I am seeing this trend, the overabundance of social media commentary on the price of food for regular people. Okay, I'll just call them regular human beings that want to buy regular food items that are pantry staples. So there's a lot of these TikTok. I don't have TikTok, but a lot of times they get reposted to Instagram. And it's like, showing your flex because you've got eggs. When you go to the grocery store and you can afford eggs. I even saw one, and this was on Bookstagram, and it was a woman, and she was sitting there, and she was sad, and she was looking at her bookshelf, and she was like, I don't have enough books. And she looked out at her, she has backyard hens. And so she went and got an egg and took it to Barnes and Noble. Like, this is a total, spoof, but she took her one egg to Barnes and Noble, and like the cash register was like, or cashier was like shifty. And she, pushed the egg over to her, looked around to make sure that nobody could see her. And then the cashier gave her a stack of like 10 books worth $250, right? I saw one where it was a guy standing with a trench coat on, and somebody comes up and he's like, hey man, you got any eggs? He's like, I got brown eggs, I got white eggs. What kind of eggs do you want? And then the police come in and, they drop the eggs and, oh, the eggs are scrambled. So if you can just I want you to just take a second here and picture this. Millions of dollars spent on 30-second commercials, and yet consumers in North America, USA and Canada, don't get all weird political on me, we're all on the same continent. Regular people are saying, I feel like I need to trade a kidney and go covert for things like eggs. So I saw an article, press secretary, the new press secretary was speaking in the US about how they're going to try to, get prices of food for regular consumers down, and talking about, I'm just going to use eggs as the example because it's kind of the most prominent one. And I don't remember if any of you will remember this, but I want to say 2016. Do you guys remember when a head of cauliflower was like, I don't know, was like $16 for a head of cauliflower, and people were like, what's going on? This was before people started making cauliflower into everything like pizza crusts and, rice. I'm using air quotes right now when I say cauliflower rice. But we had this sort of time where these things were so expensive that people were justified in their, sort of shock and awe. What is going on? There's a cat looking in the window at me right now. Sorry, I'm just, I don't know where this cat came from. There's a weird cat. It's weird. I'm recording. I'm in my little recording space down here. So I'm trying to wrap my brain around the excess spending on these campaigns when people are literally saying, I can't afford a dozen eggs. So now there's policy coming forward, and the White House press secretary spoke about this the other day and actually mentioned eggs and how they've kind of gone up about 60% in the US. I don't know what the percentage that they've gone up in Canada is. They have gone up for sure. For sure. We have our Egg Farmers Association in Canada. They regulate the crap out of things. Like, they are very, very strict, and I don't know that that's a great thing. So I'm interested to see if policy comes into place down south, if we'll see any of those effects up north. So something to keep your eye on. I'm so curious as to what is going to happen. Like, are we going to see some pricing come down? And honestly, like I was talking about in the last episode, we're doing a lot of the searching for the deals, trying to find better pricing on things, doing coupon matching at partner stores, so like the Shoppers Drug Mart, Pharmaprix type of what are they called, drugstores that sell food as well, that will also price match with your Superstore and your No Frills and stuff like that. So keep an eye on it. It's interesting. Some of the commercials were really, I'm not going to lie, some of the commercials were super funny. I did ask my brother if I should watch the halftime show, and he was like, just don't. So that one's really hit and miss. So on the theme of Super Bowl, and some of you were like, really, we're on a theme of Super Bowl? We're not really, but I do want to say this. Starbucks today, Monday after Super Bowl, I just pulled up the article. They are doing a free coffee today. You're exhausted from yesterday. You partied hard. You were cheering. You were eating. Now you got to go into work today. So I just pulled up an article about it. So Monday today, if you live in the US of A, not Canada, they're doing a free coffee. So this is interesting to me because you have this big giant company that has had 2 quarters now with lower sales. So they're trying to get people to come back to us. Dunkin' Donuts had a massive commercial in the Super Bowl yesterday. Dunkin' Donuts actually sells more coffee than donuts. I mean, crazy. But a lot of the deals and a lot of the freebies and a lot of the giveaways that companies like Starbucks would do, the new CEO has pulled back on a lot of that. But today they're doing a free coffee if you live in the US of A. And it's interesting. So you can get a tall, if you don't drink at Starbucks, that's 12 ounce. A 12 ounce hot or iced coffee. And you can redeem that any time during the day today. I guess they did have something it didn't come up in the commercials that I was watching, but they want the baristas to write on the cups again with the Sharpies. They've changed their policy. You do need to buy something now if you want to sit and work in the Starbucks, which honestly, like when they kind of implemented the, just come and hang out all day and it's cool. You don't have to buy anything. It's like, dude, like people want to come and sit. But a lot of people kind of migrated from sitting in a Starbucks location to just getting drive-through. Here is another thing, though, that is changing. And again, this is, if you're like, oh, Colleen, I don't care about Starbucks. Okay, that's fine. But these big companies, when they make sweeping changes, it affects smaller coffee shops, smaller cafes, because they're going to follow those trends. We saw it with things like, the Dubai chocolate bar. The poor woman in Dubai makes this chocolate bar, and now all the people around are like, oh, I got to make the Dubai chocolate bar. It's a trend. People will follow it. But so Starbucks got rid of you have to pay for milk alternatives. I have not seen any coffee shops that I go to, besides Fox Cafe, which was not charging anyways, because they're awesome. They weren't charging for milk alternative. But I haven't seen any of the other coffee shops jump on that yet. This is going to be interesting. I have to follow up with you guys on the class action lawsuit that's going on, because I think that's going to make a big difference. But Starbucks is changing their menu options as well. And the article says they are going to cut about 30% of their offerings. So if you look at a place like Tim Hortons, okay, so Tim Hortons, suddenly they're doing pizzas, they're doing wraps, they're doing all sorts of stuff. It's like, stay in your lane, Tim Hortons, do coffee and donuts. But no, they're doing all these crazy things. So I'm going to be curious to see. So I'm just today is Colleen's putting out there what she thinks might happen. I don't know. And maybe I'll be like South Park and The Simpsons, and I'll predict things. So probably not. But I am interested to see if some places that are coffee shops that are locally, independently owned will feel relief that they don't have to offer so many things. Get back to coffee, get back to what people are coming to you for, and have a small menu and small amount of offerings. When I go to a coffee shop, I do want a sweet treat. Every once in a while, I want a sandwich. We just went to Fox. It's now called Cafe and Bakery. So one of our favorite coffee places to go to. And I got their grilled cheese done on their fresh baked focaccia bread. And it comes with a little cup of tomato soup. And it was delightful. And I was like, I am here for this. But they're not offering 40, 50, 60 items on their food menu. They're offering their amazing line of donuts, a couple of sweet treats, a couple of savory things. So I'm interested to see if there's going to be sort of maybe a collective sigh of relief for some of these independent coffee shops that did not want to offer big food menus, that they can kind of go, whew, can we just offer a cinnamon bun, a muffin, and coffee? If you're making great coffee, you should hope that's what people are there for. The last thing I want to say on this, and I actually opened my app up today because this article from CNN Business said that Starbucks changed the name to make it so that people really know we're a coffee company. So I looked it up on my app, and yeah, that went really fast. I'll do it again. I'll do it again. They changed it to the Starbucks Coffee Company. I'll do a slower version of it and play it for you guys, which is interesting. So that's a big name change. So getting back to the roots, we do coffee. And so I'm really interested to see what happens with this. It's very I find this really interesting. I find these big food trends, these dramatic sweeping changes that larger companies make. We'll see what happens. Loka, our friends at Loka. They're not really our friends, but they are a independently owned giant. Also, I don't know. How would you guys describe Loka? So we wrote a Substack article all about Loka and kind of comparing them to the Italian Center, which is a fair comparison. Sort of this, not boutique, specialty grocery store. It's not fair to compare Loka to Superstore or No Frills. Like that's not a good comparison. But we did an article. I'll put a link below so you can read the article if you missed it. Just comparing pricing and atmosphere and sort of what we thought. Loka recently purchased the last independently owned IGA. So if you are in Canada, I know that there are some IGAs in the States as well, but IGA was like sort of your neighborhood grocery store. Loka purchased the last independently owned IGA, which is in the Crestwood location in the city I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And I watched an interview with the owner of the location that was the IGA. And one of the things he said was, with selling the location to Loka, one of the points that they put into their contract was that Loka needed to bring their staff on board. And I thought, smart. Well done, you. Because a lot of these employees had been with the IGA for a long time. I can't remember the exact amount of years, but I think he had that location for like 35, maybe longer years. I'll have to look that up. But it was a very long time. So the new Loka has opened up. We have not gone there because, friends, where we are in the part of the world right now, it's been minus 30 Celsius. I do not want to go outside. I had to go outside today because I had to do delivery, but I don't really want to go outside. I thought that was really a very cool move by the owner, selling to this bigger company, and saying, you know what? We have amazing staff and we want them to still have jobs. And so we'll go check out the new location at some point. We always check things out. We always give something a fair chance. I don't know that it will be a place that we ever actually shop at because eggs. let's just say it, eggs. The next thing I wanted to kind of just chat a little bit about is, and I just mentioned this, our Substack. Our Substack is coming back. I am so sorry we have not had any articles lately. We've been working really hard on Valentine's Day. And we actually have, I got a little package here. I can show you what the package looks like. You'll hear the crinkling. So we have these gorgeous pink envelopes. And these pink envelopes, if you're listening, we have them full of our selection for tasting events. So Valentine's Day, chocolatier here. That's my other gig. I have a lot of jobs, but the chocolatiering is one of the jobs that I have. And honestly, all we're doing for Valentine's Day this year is chocolate tastings. I had to do an emergency order of chocolate. It was extremely frustrating. So again, we had a big company by the small company that we have been dealing with as our wholesaler for a long time. And the big company has not been providing the smaller company with tools, the resources, access to the entire computer system, the catalog, ways to pay. Like, that just made it really difficult for them. I kind of lost my mind last week. Jason kind of lost his mind last week. And it was like, we just need, just give me an order. And of course, when I got the pricing, I wanted to lay down on the floor in fetal position and die. I'm gonna have a little sip of water here. I got a new water bottle so that I can stay hydrated. Oh my gosh, I do not drink enough water. Lick. But so I had to get an emergency order of chocolate last week, and it just made my heart hurt. I then had a few people kind of send me the pricing that they're paying, and I was like, oh my gosh, you need a different wholesaler. Like, some people are paying some pretty crazy, outrageous pricing for things. And I have it on good authority that the chocolate pricing is going to continue to increase. It could go up quite a bit more. And, I try not to be snarky. I really do. But this new rep that they assigned me, her response to me being upset was, there's a price increase coming, so I'll keep you informed of the price increase. How about you say, hey, Colleen, a price increase is coming. Do you want to order now before it goes into effect? Not wait for the price increase and then, blindside me with it. So I'm kind of looking at all my pennies right now and figuring out how many of all of the pennies that I have I can spend on resources. Some of the things that we're doing a bit differently this year. Valentine's Day is tasting events. I kind of wrote my friend, I said, I'm not making chocolates for regular people. And he's like, I only like irregular people as well. But usually I would have chocolate hearts, chocolate bonbons, Valentine's Day packages for people to order. I went through my numbers for last year, and we had hardly any sales at all for Valentine's specific chocolate. We had our tasting events, but for Valentine's Day stuff, we just didn't have. And I thought, yeah, I could spend 3 or 4 days making chocolate for how many orders did we have last year? We had 8 orders total outside of a tasting events. I was like, it's just not worth it. It's not, and I'm not saying that in a mean way, like, oh, my customers aren't worth it. The amount of time and stress and resources that I would need to use to make those couple of orders, it's lunacy. Just doing the chocolate tastings and getting all of this, like, we sent out a lot of kits. And these are our corporate clients that love us. We love them. They are fantastic. They are ordering stuff from us on these big holidays. So basically the long and short of it is we'll finish this Valentine's Day up. I start tonight, the first of my tasting events. I have 7 tasting events in a row. And then it'll be nothing until Easter. And it's kind of, I'm not sad about it. I'm more in preservation mode, I would say. That's probably the best way to put it, preservation mode, because, the price of chocolate is just continuing to go up. And again, this is a theme. We have big giant companies like Hershey's and Nestle that are going and they're buying, big sort of pieces of the pie. They're buying lots of, stock commodities, and the companies that I buy from are itty bitty little tiny companies. I'm not buying from Hershey and Nestle. I'm buying from these little companies. And so, the amount that they have sort of as a foothold in the market is becoming smaller. So that is a bit challenging as well. So we will see. I think, summertime, I'm not going to do any chocolate. And that's what we did last year. And I think it kind of saves my sanity. Plus, I also start teaching starting next week. And I've got some really cool hospitality courses that I'm teaching. So that will keep me busy. One last thing to tell you guys. Hey, I got some new books. I know all of you are shocked. None of you are shocked. None of you are shocked that I got new books. But I got Jeka's. I want to say Jeka's. Yucca's Herb Cookbook. This is a big, chunky, beefy book. So another one of our my favorite places to go is Gratitude Coffee. They're in Sherwood Park, so they are a little city just east of Edmonton. And Gratitude Coffee, the owners are amazing, and they had a book sale the other day because the one owner, like me, has a lot of books. So they had 600 books there, and it was super duper fun. And I ended up picking up this herb cookbook. Now, here's the cool thing about this book. So for each herb, there is basically the description of it, what's the history in cooking, how to harvest it, and how to use it, different properties, and then if there's like other varieties that maybe have common names. And then there's recipes, and there are some really cool recipes in here. So it's a big beefy book, beautiful color scheme. Like I'm loving this color scheme. It's very, very pretty. And so I'm excited for this book. I'm going to go through that. I also got, because I love books. So this podcast is called The Food Explorer Podcast, named after one of my favorite books that I've ever read, called The Food Explorer by Daniel Stone. Well, would you look at this? There's a book called The Fruit Hunters. And this book is a story of nature, adventure, commerce, and obsession. And it is written very much in the same vein as the Food Explorer is written. This is a Canadian author, so Adam Leaf Gallner. And it goes through different fruits, different things like, I'll just open up here to our contents. Some of the wild areas like Borneo, and some of the things that are there. How do we market things like grapples? How do we market these fruits that we've kind of combined together? What's the one? Pluets. It's like a plum and something mixed together. Oh my gosh, I can't remember what they mixed it with. So how do we, work through this? Also, some of the geopolitics around fruit and some of the preservation that we need to look at. So very, very interesting. I'm really looking forward into getting into this book. Whoever owned this book before I bought it has highlighted some things in there, which I love that. I want to see what somebody else has highlighted. It's a used book. So those are my 2 new books. I think that's all I got to tell you this week. So yeah, the theme, big company does big things. What will happen to little company? Regular people just want to buy eggs. And now that I've said that, my phone is going to give me like 5,000 more videos about eggs because my phone listens to me. What can I say? It is the way it is. Oh, I do have one more thing I have to tell you. I'll do a video about this. We got compound butter the other day from a company that's new to me. I'll do a whole video on it, like a little short video. It's delicious. So we'll do a little video on that. And I got some Bean to Bar chocolate, a little tiny company here in Edmonton. And I'm worried about our Bean to Bar chocolate companies because, what I buy, which is couverture, which is the little chocolate calays, and then I use that to make my chocolate. These folks are taking the beans and going from the beans to the chocolate bar. So I don't know what's going to happen to them, but I'll do a video on that as well because I got this delightful Bean to Bar chocolate. The beans are from Vietnam, and they were very, very good. So, and then I got another one that was beans from Mexico. So I'll share that with you. I always buy everybody's chocolate. I am the person that loves buying what everybody else has got for sale because I love eating chocolate. Wherever you're at, doesn't matter where you're at. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're warm if you are in this part of the world and it's -30. And I hope that you can find eggs for a really good price. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment, do all the things. We love that. And from me to you, I'll see you soon. Thanks.